here present. First of all, before I start, please permit me to actually appreciate the managers of the AuthorAID Journal Club for finding me suitable to review this journal titled Diagnostic Accuracy and Reliability of Smartphone Capture Radiographic Images Communicated via WhatsApp. My name is Dr. Samba Sanusi Abubakar. I am a consultant radiologist, a hostel-based consultant with the Federal Teaching Hostel Gombe, Nigeria. So, sir, I want to start my presentations by actually mentioning the title of the presentation or the articles: Diagnostic Accuracy and Reliability of Smartphone Capture Radiographic Images, which are communicated via WhatsApp platform. And we are going to look at it under the following outline. We look at the preamble, then we now look at the introduction of the paper, then we look at the methodology of the author, the results, discussion, conclusion, referencing, and finally we now come to the observation and comments. So this article actually is an open access article, which is titled Diagnostic Accuracy and Reliability of Smartphone Captured Radiographic Images Communicated via WhatsApp. And this is authored by Onati N, Jacques Jans BR, and Ginat Jobat, all from the Faculty of Health Sciences, University of the Free State. Permit me to use the short word of Bloemfontein to say Blom, South Africa. And the first two authors are actually from the Department of Clinical Imaging Science, and then the third author from the Department of Biostatistics of the same hostel. This journal or article actually became available online on 12th of January 2022. And it was actually accepted on 10th of November 2021, and then became available online barely about 8 weeks. So, which is actually okay. Some will say within 6 weeks maximum, or highest 8 weeks, the journal should be available online or should be available at fora where it can be accessible at by means. So it was actually, as I said, published 12th January on page 67 to 70, where it's been rated. The abstract of the article actually has about barely or slightly over 300 words, which I know in some other author or some other journal they actually recommend between 100 to 250. Well, this one is actually about 305 words with the 5 keywords, which, if I can remember vividly, the last journal we reviewed some time back, they said about 100 to 250 words okay for this article. However, in a seminar presentation or in conferences, more than 300, up to 400 is actually acceptable. So this is one of the area I wanted to actually make a comment or during the comment section observations. Then the 5 keywords, which they talk about teleradiology, smartphones, digital X-ray, WhatsApp, as well as the PACS system. This is actually okay because the keywords should not actually go beyond 5 words, which is said to be 3 to 5 is okay. It's okay. By way of introductions, the authors actually started the introduction with the features of the smartphone that have given it easier access to specialist healthcare, especially in the rural communities, and also actually the potential to positively impact healthcare through the telemedicine. So when you look at the second paragraph after this smartphone, which the smartphone actually is said to be actually cheap, available, readily available, and it's had actually a capacity of increased quality in the cameras now, which has improved dramatically, and then the phone are inexpensive. So they now move ahead in the second program to define what teleradiology is, and which is defined as a branch of telemedicine where telecommunication systems are used for transmission of radiological images from one location to another for the purpose of sharing studies with other healthcare professionals, including radiologists or physicians, among others. This is actually perfect, but to me, actually, if I actually press it, I would love to have define teleradiology first, what it is, before actually talking about the smartphone, because smartphone is actually an instrument or an device that can be used to transfer this detail via the teleradiology communication system, this telemedicine system. So I would have loved to have actually this paragraph of teleradiology definition to come first before actually describing the smartphone. Or anyway, any form can be actually put. But for me, actually, I would prefer to have teleradiology as the definition to come first before now coming to the smartphone. Then they also observe that increased use of technology and radiology is not the case for the underserved or the rural community in South Africa. This is where trained radiologists are lacking, with only about 60 qualified radiologists in academic institutions in South Africa of about 559 million people. This is actually so true, not only in the South African, the trained radiologists are lacking almost globally. And then, as I said, in rural area, generally have access to the smartphone for a quick and easy communication of images with trained radiologists across the globe, especially to education management. This is so almost everywhere, and it's actually the practice people are actually into now, even though some aspects of radiologists are actually prone to this issue. But in where area is underserved or is a rural area, you have no option actually to involve in that easy way to actually communicate to radiologists across the globe. They also noted the global recognition of the teleradiology as an invaluable tool. This is actually due to the lack of the adequate staff, due to lack of adequate staff to provide radiological services and the lack of expertise in the specialty of radiology. While also noting these challenges, they also highlighted the limitations, which include the higher cost and also technical complexity of the picture archiving communication, as well as the digital imaging and communication, that is DICOM and PACS. So they actually highlighted due to high cost of maintenance, as well as the space maintenance, as well as also vendor-related issues they actually highlighted in their introduction. And also they consider all these challenges, the most pertinent challenges among these in the picture archiving and the PACS implementation in South Africa include insufficient infrastructure, hospital financial constraints, and image storage capacity, vendor-related conditions, all are part of the challenges that actually posed in what you call in achieving all this PACS communication, as well as DICOM imaging, the digital imaging and communication in medicine. They also noted the role of WhatsApp application as a means of communicating images of medical importance between physicians and also aiding in the triage and decision making. So this is said to be actually fast and also easily accessible, and the phone are inexpensive and also can be communicated within shortest possible time. And the WhatsApp application is actually an encrypted application, can be communicated with all confidentiality. So they imply to the investigation by several studies on the use of smartphone for medical images captured on the platform, and also using camera and then transfer via the WhatsApp. These are some of the studies done by the Mascara in 2012, Bullard in 2013, who actually used mobile phone images of CT scan in triaging patient and assisting with translation of neurological cases. This actually was perfect study, and it was done, and also they said it was adequate in diagnosis of those conditions when compared to the PACS system, even though the sensitivity is still also the sensitivity and specificity was high, but the PACS system actually has a higher percentage. The same thing also, there's also Gardiano 2015 also on imaging assessment of tibial flatten fracture, which also they use a smartphone captured phone to actually assess those fracture, which also are said to be adequate in that study. So they observed that no, at the time of study, they actually observed that no South African study has been conducted on the diagnostic reliability of smartphone captured and bioradiology images. So therefore, this actually prompts them to actually source to evaluate the reliability of the radiograph captured and viewed using a smartphone compared to a full PACS station in emergency life-threatening conditions. Mentions this actually purpose. The purpose is actually to actually have this demonstrate reliability of that smartphone and captured to compare with the PAC system on usually in the emergency life-threatening conditions. So methodology actually is that of the cross-sectional study conducted at the radiology unit of Bellonomi Tertiary Hospital in the Bloom Free State. The study population consists of radiograph of about obtained at the Bellonomi Tertiary Hospital from 1st June 2018 to 1st July 2019. There's about 4 months duration period. The sample size was that of 135 radiograph from PACS, which were representative of a common emergency life-threatening condition with at least 20 radiograph per condition. So in this last bullet, actually, the sample size is seen to be actually small. However, the set is actually concentrated on the life-threatening emergency condition, which are common in that area. So with at least 20 radiograph per condition, with exception of the pneumomediastinum, where they are able to only get only 7 images on that regard. So, but all other images, they are about nothing less than with at least 20 radiographs per each condition were gotten and they were analyzed. The selected medical conditions which were common for the region and require urgent management include pneumothorax, pneumomediastinum, pneumoperitoneum, bowel obstruction, spinal fracture of different morphology, which consists of mostly cervical spine fracture and then the normal X-ray. If you look at this, actually, they terms them as actually common emergency or life-threatening condition in that environment. And however, why I tag normal X-ray, I don't know why the reason or reason behind putting the normal X-ray. If we're talking about urgent management, urgent medical intervention or urgent life-threatening condition, and now the normal X-ray are also come on board as a part of the life-threatening conditions and also are being analyzed under those conditions. So maybe we'll get the explanation later, but I actually don't know what happened. Then the images were displayed on a 2 megapixel PACS computer screen. I'm captured by principal investigator using a 12 megapixel iPhone 7 camera positioned at 25 cm from the screen. Dr. Man, are you hearing me? Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So they actually to simulate what will occur in emergency center, the X-ray were captured without additional setting or equipment, which is very, very fantastic, very so that you cannot actually distort or tamper with the way if the images will come or in that emergency situation. So it was not actually a tamper, which is good and also is perfect. The camera has a resolution of at least 1304 by 750. Background noise, please. The captured images were subsequently sent to 5 radiology registrars via the WhatsApp instant messaging application. That is a version of 12.15.5. So those radiology registrars actually they are at different level. We're going to see this, and the selected images were viewed by principal investigator on and also certified by a board certified radiologist. This was also deemed as the gold standard. For actually a certified radiologist to go through those images and then get approval of the images on the study. And to ensure also as a confidentiality, each registrar was allocated an identification number to be used throughout the study. The participant registrar reviewed the images on their phones. And the participant smartphones were different companies, but with a minimum screen resolution of 1304 by 750 pixel was required for the study. The challenges here actually, the smartphones were different companies. Yes, They may have the same resolution, they may have the same camera pixel, but the problems, once they are from different companies, this will actually introduce a bias. So may have actually resolution may be differ, even though they have the same pixels, but they may actually differ. So this is actually, we would love to have different, the same company, so that they will actually eliminate such kind of bias, even though they are mentioned during the discussion. A period of 3 weeks was allowed to limit the possible recall of previous image, which is okay. There's actually, thereafter the registrar view the exact same image, but a random order on the departmental full features. This is okay actually to eliminate all such bias, because as soon as the images were also looked under packs, the actual recall bias would set in, and then you may have actually bias introduced in the study. So the participant completed a data form setting the location of the pathology and final diagnosis at every stage. So that is initial stage where it has been viewed on the forms. It actually, the form was filled, completed, and then stating their pathology and then final diagnosis. Similarly, also once going back to the PAC system after 3 weeks, they also did the same thing, and then it was actually reported or completed. The researchers coded.
So everybody anyhow.
The researchers coded the data and enter it into a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, and the data was analyzed using McNemar's test to compare the diagnostic accuracy of smartphone and PACS. The kappa value were calculated for agreement. This actually was done in the biostatistics department in the same institution, which I think is okay. And also kappa value were calculated for agreement, actually to get a perfect agreement, or to get at least a moderate to substantial agreement in that analysis. And the reliability was assessed by analyzing the result of different registrars and diagnosis separately. So it was not actually done in the whole number, but it was done actually separately. And in the case of normal scans, the percentage accurately diagnosed reflects specificity, where for all the diagnoses, the percentage accurately diagnosed, the percentages accurately diagnosed reflect the sensitivity. So for the normal scan, actually is said to be actually specific for the diagnosis, and then also for the pathology, condition actually are said to be sensitive in the accurately diagnosed, and also reflects sensitivity in those pathological images. So I still have some doubt on the why actually the involvement of the normal X-ray findings or normal chest X-ray for analysis. The ethical approval was obtained from the Health Science Research Ethics Committee at the University of Free State, which is okay, and that's the standard. And but then also I also sought a permission to perform the study was obtained from the Free State Department of Health. I don't know if maybe is the policy there. After getting ethical approval, you also have to go to the Ministry of Health or Department of Health to also seek another permission to perform the study. I thought if you have the ethical approval, it will actually serve, but this is actually okay. If that's the also principle, then there's no drawback here. So the personal information on images, including patient age, sex, and household number, were hidden before the images transferred to the before the images were transferred to protect patient confidentiality. This is very okay, and this is the standard, and this is the practice. So the confidentiality of the patient should be actually be a priority, should be actually kept confidential, and the verbal consent was obtained from the participation registrars. Now coming to the results, a total of 135 radiographs were included in the study, which we actually measure on various life treatment conditions, ranging from the pneumothorax, pneumomediastinum, fractures, and even included some of the normal X-ray findings were actually involved. And then 5 radiology registrars were involved in the interpretation of the images. And those registrars, you can see from the different, one registrar, which is the principal investigator, had completed the final written fellowship examination. That's to say, actually, he's at the part 4 year or 4th year of what you call residency training. And the 2 registrars were in the 3rd year of residency, and the 1 of the registrar was in the 2nd year of residency. So when you look at the status of these registrars, they have a different level of status and also different stage of knowledge. So this is actually, to me, actually it's another point where actually bias is being introduced, because once you have different stages of register, so you may have actually different level of knowledge and also status. So we'll look at this in the comment and also observation section. This table actually represents actually the number of the images that were actually reviewed, about 135 as we said, and this is actually a distribution from the cervical spine, the chest and abdomen, lumbar spine, and then also the pathology per image, which including pneumothorax, spinal fracture, normal finding, bowel obstruction, pneumoperitoneum, and pneumomediastinum, which when you look at it, as I earlier mentioned, they said nothing less than 20 in all the images, except for the pneumomediastinum, where you have 7 images were actually found. They actually try to, what I said, they try to actually bring the solutions in order to the number of the sample size was very small, that actually those patients, most of the patients are coming from outside, they came with their radiograph outside, so they don't actually have those data in their own PAC system. So maybe one of the reasons, have actually some of the number like pneumomediastinum is actually less. So this is also the overall diagnostic accuracy of all registrars on smartphone, as well as the PACS system or PAC system. As you can see, actually, in the smartphone, the frequency when compared to the PACS, actually the PACS is actually higher, but even the smartphone, none of them is actually less than 90, and also the percentage, none of them is less than actually 70%. And when you compare to that of the PACS, it's actually higher. So even the smartphone actually is higher. But when you look at the percentage in the PAC system, it's said to be actually much higher compared to that of the and they're looking at the p-value, which is we say the statistical significance p-value should be less than 0.05. We'll look at them, actually there are significant statistical significance in the p-value, except for the this registrar 5, where you have actually a 0.1, but at the same time also the kappa value is a 0.99, which is actually a perfect agreement with the finding. So I actually have, I don't have much knowledge on statistics, but actually with this kappa value, I can say actually there's a perfect agreement with the kappa value. And we can see from the actually number 1, coded registrar coded number 1 to that of the 5th one, they're actually in between the moderate agreements, substantial sum, and then down to the perfect agreement. So actually the accuracy is actually okay, and that is said to be actually good. Even looking at the percentage as well as the p-value, except for the last, maybe there's a reason for the 5th resident where we have this p-value actually above 0.05, which it actually say there's no effect was observed in this last 0.1 p-value on this number 5. So the diagnostic accuracy of all using smartphone facts by image pathology is also presented on this table, which actually we can see on the PACS is almost 100% in most of the cases. And also looking at the smartphone, some of them are 90, between 95, 90 to 95, 80 to 95, around that region. But however, generally on the PAC system is actually said to be higher, or is higher from this the study. So the diagnostic accuracy for pneumothorax and pneumoperitoneum was high on smartphone and PACS, while spinal fracture had a low accuracy with average of 63 on smartphone and 72 on PACS. So this is where actually this study shows a significant difference on the fracture of the spinal fracture of the vertebral column. Likely they are attributed to the complexity of the fracture, or because looking at the pneumomediastinum pneumothorax, maybe because of the degree of air and also soft tissue exposure, then it has a higher diagnostic accuracy. But comparing the complexity of the fracture in that particular body is said to be actually low. So this can actually be attributable. For all the registrars, the PAX accuracy was generally high than the smartphone. So this is actually is a finding. And looking at the table we presented earlier, or they presented, actually evidence that actually the PAX accuracy was generally higher than that of the smartphone. So in the discussions, the reviewing smartphone capture images with colleagues via WhatsApp is now a norm. There's actually no doubt about it. It's a global thing that is happening, and especially during the call hours and in remote areas where there are no PACs in place to aid prompt diagnosis and transfer of patient to tertiary institution. They also noted that the constraint with WhatsApp images included reduction in image quality and resolution compared to the original image, inability to manipulate images, and viewing of the medical image on a small screen. And this actually now there are some improvement. Now you can see the image quality can actually be improved on the WhatsApp now. There's a setting where you can actually get a highest quality image that can be transferred. The way you pick it from that, you can actually transfer it in that mode. Then also resolution of the cameras are improving dramatically. Then the manipulation now, you can also download your WhatsApp on the system, and which you can actually now have a app that can manipulate images, increase the contrast, reduce the contrast. But however, the PACS direct images are much perfect and also much easier to do than this WhatsApp. So while noting that the majority of diagnoses made on PACS were without difficulty, they attributed the higher number of diagnosis abnormalities that were misdiagnosed on smartphone captured images to greater degree of technical limitation of the smartphones. However, a higher number of spinal fracture were missed on both PACS and smartphone. This is said to be actually attributed to complexity of the fracture and the fact that no clinical information was available to participant reviewer. They also noted adequate access to radiologic expertise is needed to appropriately diagnose some of the conditions included in the study, such as pneumothorax, pneumomyosano, and pneumoperitoneum. So you can see, even with the higher quality cameras, higher audio presence, you also need a expertise. So nothing can actually replace this. Even if while you have the AI technology, if you don't have the expertise, you can actually miss some of the audio diagnostic conditions. So a higher percentage of normal images on the smartphone were overdiagnosed by 2 participants, which actually leading to the low accuracy on smartphone. So the registrar actually at their level, they actually overdiagnose those images, and then maybe put it in other side of a pathological condition, and now which actually load the accuracy on the smartphone and then put it down compared to the PACS viewing. They also apply to intra-observer variation as non-tested method has achieved 100% accuracy. Pneumothorax average 90% accuracy on smartphone and 98% on PACS. Then pneumoperitoneum 95% accuracy on smartphone and 98% on PACS. So none of them actually achieve 100%. So they also look at the limitation to the study, which they mentioned some of them are called bias, which they are able to actually treat them during the study. A relatively small number of cases were actually used. The duration of study was short. The difference in the quality of smartphone screen capacity was also different. The fact that some of the phones are from different companies, even though they try as much as possible to make sure they have a resolution that are at least 1334 by 750 megapixel. And effort made to address those limitations were stated in the articles with no hindrance. So the author advised a further larger study with more representation cases and review. I want to actually believe this actually is just a recommendation by the authors to advise a further larger study with more representative cases and also more reviewers to come on board, so that a bigger study will be done and also will be presented and then published in future. And in this discussion, actually toward the end of the discussion, I saw this one overall. They said the use of at least 12 megapixel camera to identify major diagnostic abnormality on smartphone captured images can be done with a high degree of confidence in emergency setting alone to aid in prompt patient management as well as transfer to the next level of care. So I want to believe actually this is just is also a conclusion, even though there's no heading to it, but it's also under discussion toward the last paragraph of the discussion. This statement actually came on. So based on their finding on this study, they actually believe that use of 12 megapixel camera to identify major diagnostic abnormality or smartphone capture images can be done with a higher degree of confidence. Also in emergency setting, and so not in all situations or in a routine cases, but in emergency setting, once you actually need to add a prompt patient management care transfer of patient to the next level is can actually done. However, they also do not recommend routine use of smartphone as a substitute for PACS. So generally, as they mentioned, PACS actually has higher sensitivity and specificity for diagnosis and therefore cannot be actually replaced using a smartphone. So I think in authorship, the authors actually in their own declaration of competing interest, all authors approve the published version of the articles and agree to be accountable for all aspects of the work, which is very good. And degree of involvement or respective author in the work was also stated. The author also declared that they had no financial or personal relationship that may have appropriately influenced them in writing these articles. And also in their word of acknowledgement, they actually acknowledged the contribution of relevant consultants, the registrars, other research department, then the radiographer, as well as the administrative staff in their own institution. So coming to the last but not the least, before observation is the references. There were actually 12 references, and 3 out of which are study published in the last 5 years from this time of reviewing, and also from time of the publishing data, this paper article. I think it's about 5 out of which are study published in the last 5 years. Most of the author or journals, they will actually prefer to have most of the references within the last 5 years of publication, even though some of them actually they are highly related to this article, so they have to be captured. Like this 2003 reference is actually is highly connected to this journal, so it's understand actually. And then also I want to say these references are not actually much, maybe probably because this study is new or relatively new to say. Not much work has been done on this smartphones captured radiographic images. So generally, these are my observations and comments. The title of the article is appropriate and is in agreement with the aim of this study. And the paper was well written, is quite interesting, and the conclusion captured the objective as stated in that article. However, there was no section or heading for conclusion in the main body, only in the abstract, which is actually, it appeared there's actually a conclusion, but in the main body, the conclusion actually came or was written under the discussion. Probably maybe that's the pattern of the journal publications. That is their pattern. Then the abstract was okay, but 2 of the keywords, the teleradiology and diagnostic X-ray, were not captured in the abstract. It was not actually stated true and true during the abstract, the teleradiology word and digital X-ray, but it has been actually captured in the main body, even though some author actually still feel that the abstract, the keywords actually should feature within the abstract. So the teleradiology and digital X-ray are not actually included in that abstract. So this is actually one of the points need to be actually looked at. Then the introduction was elaborate and justified the objective of the study as actually appropriate and okay. Then the methodology, however, was actually flawed. And this is because the participants were not on equal knowledge and status. We mentioned it, the principal author or investigator, actually, he was in his 4th year of residency training, or the other 3 are in the 3rd year of residency, and the last one is a 2nd year. So you can see they are actually at different level and also different status. And then the smartphone used actually were not on the same across the board for each of the reseller selected to review the images. These are possible areas of actually introduction of bias. I mentioned those one while I'm reviewing the recording. So actually discussing with the some of the biostatistician or community physicians who actually have a vast knowledge on the statistics. The meta-analysis was okay, as well as the test used were actually okay, but a better way actually to present this one, they said to use actually ANOVA, that is analysis of variance, actually to assign score that can be tested using those methods. So that would be actually a better way how we can actually be able to eliminate all sorts of bias once using those analysis of variance. Then the results were presented well, but using the table. However, a chart will have show a degree of accuracy better. That is when you have a table, compound bar chart or a composite chart, actually will give you a better actually demonstration, and it can easily followed by anybody that actually go through the paper. And as I mentioned earlier, no heading for the conclusion section, as well as the recommendation, even though some journals actually feel you must have a conclusion at the body, and then you should put it on the headed conclusion. Well, why some journals actually think they actually put it in discussion, but for one I'm used to, actually conclusion will come also under the main body. So thank you for listening. Thank you for the opportunity to actually present this paper and review this paper. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Sambo, for the beautiful presentation. We will take some comments from our in-house statistician before we take general contributions. We have about 15 minutes left. Mr. Felix, please, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much. So I would like to share, or maybe I would just talk since we. I think it would be nice for me to share my screen. She could stop sharing, so that I would not take so much of time.
Okay, let me make the focus.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, you can go ahead and share now.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let's see in the PDF. Just a second. Okay. Can you see the PDF?
Yes, we can. We can see your PDF.
Okay. Good. Good. So I have just a few general comments, especially for the early career researchers. My first comment, but before then, thank you for the presentation. That was very clear and straightforward. So I'll try as much as possible to just look into the statistics, since you've really done a good job, trying to explain what is happening in all this whole research process. So first, the title says diagnostic accuracy and reliability of smartphone captured radiologic images communicated via WhatsApp. Now the thing is, as a statistician, this term reliability means a whole different thing. For us, reliability is more like when you have, let's say, for example, you are assessing hypertension, but you don't just want to go straight to ask the patients, are you hypertensive or not? So what you do is you form like 10 questions on a Likert scale that at the end of the day, if they are able to, talk about, or give you a response to the 10 questions, when I mean a Likert scale, more like strongly agree, undecided, disagree and strongly disagree, that kind of a Likert scale, like an ordinal scale. So you ask them 10 questions. Now, they are answering the 10 questions, but they have no clue that at the end of the day, you're going to sum those 10 questions to be able to determine if they have susceptibility for being hypertensive or not, instead of just asking them a straight up question. So those kind of tools that you're going to merge several questions to get one answer, we have to validate it. We have to check the reliability. We have to know and test that those 10 questions are actually pointing towards, testing susceptibility for hypertension. So if you run that reliability, which is scored between 0 and 10, that's 0% and 100%, and you have like 0.3, it tells you that it's only 30% of the 10 questions that are in agreement in terms of that are reliable to pointing us to the participants having susceptibility for hypertension. If you have things like 0.7, that is strong, it tells you that over 70% of that, means 7 out of the 10 questions, will at the end of the day point us to the person having strong susceptibility for hypertension. So we have to do that reliability using Cronbach's alpha to get that score, to be able to say that all these questions you're answering are pointing us to one place, But I know for this particular question, for this particular study, the reliability was in terms of, knowing if the WhatsApp or the smartphone have the capacity to be reliable in accurately, diagnosing these photos that is being sent to it as good, as the picture archiving and communication system, which is the PACS. Yeah, that is, but for me, I will switch this term and probably use synonyms like precision or consistency instead of reliability, because it could mean, because as I was reading the paper, I was scrolling up and down looking for where the reliability, was done, and I couldn't find it, only to realize that the reliability is used in the term of the language itself, not in the statistical term itself. That is just a suggestion, but the paper is already published. So what I'm saying is, most times when we use when we frame our titles for research, purposes, we should be careful that the words, does not have too many meanings, so that it doesn't bring confusion, because different people from different fields will be reading it, so that is the first. Now, the statistical approach that was used, it's very okay. I would start with the first table. This is table 1, just descriptive. They have 131 participants, and these are the frequencies, these are the
135.
percentages.
135.
Yes, that is what I'm seeing here.
I say 131.
No, I said 135. Sorry, maybe it's the way I sounded. Yeah, 135. Now, if we look at table 2, Table 2 looked at the overall diagnostic accuracy. Now, this is a cross-sectional study. So, meaning that they are looking for proportions, they are looking for prevalence, percentages. All right. So, the way they calculated this accuracy is between the smartphone and the PACS, comparing with the standard. So, at the end of the day, they have different percentages here, for the smartphone, and different percentages for the PACS. Now, if we look at the percentages, we can see that the accuracy for PACS is higher. Like for the registrar 1, this is 84.4%. This is 91.9%. So you can see that 91.9% is proportionally higher. And they checked if this, difference is statistically significant, and they used the McNemar. McNemar is appropriate. McNema is it's a chi-square, you know, where most times you use it when you're doing a pre and a post, you know, pre and a post study, meaning the same thing, but in different scenarios, you know, that kind of. So since we are looking at the same thing, but in different scenario, you know, they are looking at the same thing, but in the pre and in the post, before and after, but this time they are looking at it, the same image in a smartphone, the same image in a pack. So McNema is appropriate because we have other chi-squares. We have uncorrected chi-square, we have Mantehanze chi-square, we have Yates corrected chi-square, we have Pearson's chi-square. So there are different chi-square actually, all used to measure differences in percentages. So specifically mentioning the McNema, that was really fantastic because that is appropriate, you know, for this sort of comparison. So they are basically checking if 91.9 is significantly higher than 84.4. So we can see from the p-value 0.04 for this first rule, which is less than 0.05. So it means that PACS has an accurate, you know, has a significantly higher accuracy compared to smartphone for rule 1, and significantly higher for rule 2, significantly higher for rule 3, significantly higher for rule 4. It's only in rule 5 that it was not significant, 0.1, which is higher than 0.05. You see, but what I would have recommended is if you're using any form of chi-square, p-value is not the chi-square. You know, p-value only gives us an idea if what you're comparing is statistically significant or not, but the chi-square value itself. So for us, you know, early career researchers, it is also good to put the McNema score at the side, then in bracket, you can put the p-value, okay? Now, apart from that, they now did an agreement. You know, I already have a feeling that the kappa agreement will be low. A kappa agreement is used when you want to tell that there's an agreement between A and B, meaning there's an agreement between the smartphone and the PACS, meaning as the accuracy of the smartphone is increasing, the accuracy of the PACS is increasing, or as the accuracy of the PACS is increasing, the accuracy of the smartphone is increasing. And it usually has a score between 0 and 1. Meaning 0% and 100%. So any kappa value 0.7 and above shows a strong agreement, meaning that as the accuracy for the PACS is increasing, the smartphone accuracy is also increasing. But from this agreement, you will see that they are 0.5 and below, just to tell you, these are weak and moderate agreements, you know, showing that smartphones are not as good in terms of accuracy when you compare to PACS. That's what the kappa is showing you, meaning the agreement is not so strong, meaning PACS accuracy is not strongly agreeing with smartphone accuracy. PACS accuracy is weakly agreeing with smartphone accuracy for those that are 0.4 and below, or moderately in agreement with. So this study is just telling us that yes, maybe smartphone may be used in terms of an emergency, but as much as possible, please use the PACS based on what this study is showing us in table 2. Now for table 3 is looking at the diagnostic accuracy per image. So this is percentages too, the same thing that was done in table 2, the same thing that was done in table 3. The only difference is that in table 3, they didn't go further, you know, to check whether there's a significant difference, and they didn't also use kappa. You know, I think that is, you know, what I think it's happening here. My colleague had mentioned they would have used a more like a continuous 2 or like a Likert scale or something. I think based on how they measure the accuracy, which is using it to check, because there is a standard on how the accuracy is measured. So comparing the smartphone and the standard, comparing packs and the standard. So I think percentages would be appropriate for this because of the way the accuracy measurements, is done. But if they had used something, if they had used an alternative method, maybe they have like a scale between 1 to 5. 1 means low accuracy, 5 means high accuracy. But at the end of the day, the accuracy will still be, tested, side by side with a gold standard. Yes, I think that's the term, with a gold standard. So I feel this is okay, apart from these few recommendations that I have. This is a good work, and I would love to commend the authors for adding kappa to this whole process. That was very, very innovative. I really love that, because you can still do this study without adding kappa. As long as you see the chi-square, you can say, oh, you can see the percentage impacts is higher than the, that's enough. But to add the kappa actually strengthened, the results, and strengthened the, validation process and all that stuff. So that was really, really, very good. I think these are my observations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Felix Naim, our in-house statistician. We did justice to the statistical end. So now the floor is open for questions. Please, can you indicate by raising your hand, then we will unmute you so that you can make your comments, contributions, and questions. Thank you.
Sorry, sir, I can't see why.
Yes, Dr. Samuel, you were saying?
Okay, sir, thank you, sir. I just wanted to thank Dr. Felix, actually, for this elaborate explanation, especially on the statistical aspect. The table 2, where we're talking about the kappa value, actually, when he's just projecting the study now, because I have a hard copy, I didn't actually go much through about the soft copy there. So I think I omitted some of the numbers. I was seeing 0.39 was actually recorded as 0.99. So I was thinking I have a strong agreement there. So I was somehow confused. Until now, when he projected it, I saw it's 0.39 at the last row, the resident number 5, which is actually is a weak agreement actually. So thank you for noting all those areas. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Samuel. Yes, any questions? Any comments? Okay, our time is fast spent. So, in the absence of any questions or comments, I'll hand over to Dr. Tungo.
So we say a really big thank you to everybody, my co-host, in-house statistician doing what he does best, our reviewer, Dr. Sambo, thank you so much, and our attendees. We'll make a copy of the recording available at the earliest for those who want to go over the recording. So just keep abreast of our meetings. We should have another session next month, and we'll let you know what the paper is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Zena.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Have a nice day.
And you too. Bye-bye.